Did you know tax attorneys even get calls from IRS scammers? I'm Andrew Bosserman, tax attorney and founder of Boss Tax Law, and I recently received a call. It ended up being a voicemail because I didn't answer it from someone claiming I had a bunch of tax that was clearly a scam. But I thought it would be fun to walk through it so you could hear it, and I can point out all the blatant lies and misconceptions that is contained in the message. Let's start.
Hi, this is Tyler Hansen with National Tax Group, LLC. I'm calling because your file was just flagged during an emergency federal tax audit, and this is...
First of all, he says that my file was just flagged during an emergency federal tax audit. I work for the IRS and I don't even know what that means. Also, somehow a third party knows that I am under audit. First of all, the IRS doesn't notify third parties that you're under audit. That's only information that would ever be shared between you and the IRS. Also, if you are under audit, the IRS will reach out to you normally by sending you a letter in the mail to begin an official audit or examination. So the fact that he's telling me that my account was somehow flagged for a federal tax audit, that's a red flag right there, because there's no way he could possibly know that.
Critical situation that requires your immediate attention. Ignoring this could lead to severe financial consequences. Call me immediately at 814-656-9925.
And he's obviously just playing into the, oh, you need to call me quickly, otherwise serious financial consequences could occur. I'll definitely talk about this more. Well, he's going to go into a little more details. I'll let you know where he goes wrong.
If you don't act now, you risk wage garnishment, frozen bank accounts, or even seizure of personal property.
Okay, so the IRS can do things like that, like wage garnishment, freezing or garnishing your bank accounts, or even seizing personal property. They do have the powers to do that in the collection process, but they aren't going to do it without notifying you first. You normally receive multiple notices in the mail before any of those collection actions were occurred. You'd be notified that you owe money, and they would notify you again saying we're intending on taking some collection action, and you would always receive a final notice before any severe collection action, and that would give you generally appeal rights to protest, pause whatever collection action they're going to do before they go through with it. So the fact that the IRS could somehow garnish my bank account or somehow take my house from me without me notifying me first, that's just not true. And also, even though the IRS can seize personal property like your house, they would likely first file a lien first, and then it would take them a long time. You'd receive lots of notifications. And I think, for an example, the IRS forecloses on a very small amount of homes per year, like under 100 in the United States. So they really don't pursue that as a collection action.
These enforcement actions can begin at any moment and often happen without additional warning.
As I just discussed, completely false. They don't happen without warning.
The longer you wait, the worse it could get. Now,
this might be one of the most true things he said. The longer you wait to fix a tax problem, oftentimes the worse it gets. Not always. Penalty and interest often keeps compounding if you owe money. So oftentimes sooner rather than later is best. Although sometimes you're better off just waiting it out and hoping the statute of limitations runs out, or that you can get into some different sort of collection relief later down the line. Mostly true, but not always, and you definitely want to analyze what's best for your specific situation.
there are still limited federal relief programs available that might significantly reduce what you owe, or even eliminate certain penalties entirely.
So there are collection relief programs. You can get into a payment plan, often called an installment agreement. There's also the offer and compromise program, which allows you to sell your debt for less than you owe. You can get penalty abatement. So those are options, but the fact that he calls them limited, that's misleading. They exist. It's not like they're limited to the amount of taxpayers that can qualify. You have to qualify, but it's not like only the first 100 taxpayers get an offer and compromise. That's not how it works.
But these options are closing rapidly, and only certain cases qualify. Time is extremely limited.
like I just mentioned, that's completely false. There's always going to be payment plans with the IRS. Same with offering compromise as a program. Yes, it's a very formulaic process to settle your debt for less than you owe, but it's not like there's a time limit or these things are going away. So the fact that he's encouraging me to call back soon, otherwise I might be out of luck, that's completely false. The IRS has different options to resolve your debt, and those are going to exist unless there's major changes at the IRS to get rid of a lot of collection relief. But you have to think of it also from the IRS's perspective. They want your money, and even if you can't pay the full amount, they're willing to work with you on a payment plan or a reduced amount because something they receive is better than nothing.
You must call me back immediately at 814-656-9925. Again, that number is 814-656-9925. This is your last chance to take control before the situation escalates further.
I don't know. The only way he would know it's going to escalate further is if he was somehow receiving IRS notices or worked for the IRS, which he clearly doesn't. Yes, if you ignore IRS problems, they normally do escalate further. The IRS may pursue additional collection actions, but like I said, he has no idea about my tax situation. If he did, he would know that I don't have any tax debt. In fact, I'm a tax attorney that helps people with tax debt or other IRS problems. But I just thought I would share this. There's only a few seconds left in the voicemail, and it essentially says to call back if you want to opt out, but that's probably how they get you. But anyways, I thought it would be fun to share this. If you ever receive a call from someone claiming that you have tax debt or need to take immediate action, it's probably a scam like this one. Some things, like dealing with the IRS, programs are always going to be there. It's always going to be in your best interest to consult with your CPA or tax attorney if you have an IRS problem, because we know how the IRS works. We don't fall for scams like this, and we can help you take control calmly, not rush you, and we can help you get a resolution with the IRS. So if you have a tax issue such as back taxes, unfiled returns, a notice of deficiency, need to contest something with the IRS, get penalties abated, or you received a call and aren't sure if it's from the IRS or not, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to discuss and see how I can help and point you in the right direction and keep you away from falling for scams like this.